When we picture samurai, we imagine warriors in armor, loyal to their lords, fighting battles in the mountains of Japan. But one samurai's story breaks that mold entirely. Over 400 years ago, a Japanese samurai crossed oceans, met kings, shook hands with the Pope, and became one of the earliest true global travelers in history. This is the forgotten story of Hasekura Tsunenaga, the samurai diplomat who sailed from Japan to the far corners of the world, only to be erased from his country's memory when he returned. Japan at the crossroads. The early 1600s were a time of massive change in Japan. The country had just emerged from centuries of civil war, unified under the Tokugawa shogunate. Foreign influence was growing rapidly. Portuguese and Spanish merchants brought guns and trade, while Jesuit missionaries spread Christianity across Japanese ports. But there was conflict. Some daimyos, feudal lords, saw Christianity and foreign trade as tools to enrich their domains, while others saw them as a threat to Japanese traditions and stability. One of the most ambitious lords was Date Masamune, known as the One-Eyed Dragon. He ruled the Sendai domain in northern Japan, and unlike the shogunate in Edo, he welcomed foreign contact. He wanted new trade routes, technology, and alliances. To achieve this, he launched an audacious plan: send a mission across the globe. For this, he chose a trusted retainer, a samurai named Hasekura Tsunenaga. Building the ship. The mission began with the construction of a massive ship, the San Juan Bautista. This wasn't an ordinary Japanese vessel. It was a Western-style galleon, built with the help of European shipbuilders. Over 180 technical experts, carpenters, and sailors worked on it, and it became one of the most advanced ships ever built in Japan. When it was ready, Hasekura boarded with a crew of Japanese samurai, merchants, and Spanish navigators. In 1613, they set sail on a journey no Japanese had ever attempted before. First stop, New Spain, Mexico. After a dangerous crossing of the Pacific, the ship landed in Acapulco, New Spain, modern-day Mexico. The arrival of armored Japanese samurai caused a sensation. Locals had never seen warriors like this, carrying swords and speaking a language completely foreign to the Spanish colonies. From there, Hasekura traveled inland to Mexico City, the vibrant capital of New Spain. The mission's goal was clear: establish official trade between Japan and the Spanish Empire. But their journey wasn't over. It had only just begun. Crossing the Atlantic. In 1614, Hasekura and his delegation crossed the Atlantic Ocean to Spain. Imagine the sight: a group of Japanese envoys wearing their finest samurai robes and armor, walking the streets of Seville. Crowds gathered just to see them. Hasekura met with King Philip III of Spain, presenting letters and gifts from Date Masamune. The king was intrigued, and Hasekura made such an impression that Spanish artists painted portraits of him. For Europeans of the time, he was living proof that Japan was a powerful and sophisticated nation on the other side of the world. In Rome, the samurai meets the Pope. The highlight of the mission came in 1615, when Hasekura Tsunenaga traveled to Rome itself. There, he was granted an audience with Pope Paul V. In a grand ceremony, Hasekura presented himself as Japan's envoy. He knelt before the Pope, requesting stronger ties between Japan and the Catholic world. He even converted to Christianity, taking the name Francisco Felipe Hasekura. For Europeans, this was astonishing. A samurai warrior baptized in the Vatican, representing a distant and mysterious empire. The return journey. After 6 years abroad, Hasekura returned to Japan in 1620. But what he found was not the country he had left. The Tokugawa shogunate had grown hostile toward Christianity, seeing it as a destabilizing force. Missionaries were being expelled, and Japanese Christians were persecuted. Hasekura's mission was quietly dismissed. His conversion to Christianity put him under suspicion, and much of his diplomatic work was ignored. Within a generation, Japan entered its policy of sakoku, or national isolation, cutting itself off from most foreign contact for over 200 years. Hasekura's incredible journey, his meetings with kings and popes, his global diplomacy, was erased from official records. He became a forgotten figure in his own homeland. a legacy across the world. But Hasekura wasn't forgotten everywhere. In Spain, especially in the town of Coria del Rio, near Seville, some of his Japanese companions stayed behind. Their descendants still live there today, carrying the surname Japon. It's one of the only surnames in the world that directly connects back to Japan's age of the samurai. In Rome and Seville, statues of Hasekura Tsunenaga stand as reminders of his mission. In Japan, only centuries later did people rediscover his story and begin to honor his achievements. Why Hasekura's story matters. Hasekura Tsunenaga's journey reminds us that globalization didn't begin in the 20th century. Even in the 1600s, the world was connected through trade, religion, diplomacy, and ambition. He was a samurai who stepped beyond the borders of his island nation, becoming a bridge between East and West at a time when such a thing was almost unthinkable. Though forgotten for centuries, his story is proof of how one person's journey can echo across continents, leaving traces in names, statues, and history books. Conclusion. The story of Hasekura Tsunenaga is more than a tale of adventure. It's a reminder that history is filled with hidden connections. A lone samurai once stood in the courts of kings, sailed across oceans, and bowed before the Pope, only to be erased from memory when he returned home. Today, his legacy lives on in the descendants who bear his name, in monuments across the world, and in the story of the samurai who explored the world centuries before anyone thought globalization was possible.